This video did not turn out how I expected it to at all. But sometimes you get on a flow, you get on a path, and you just gotta follow it through. Some of you will understand and appreciate the message in this video, some of you will not. Yoko, if you're listening, I apologize for not getting permission first, but in my heart, I truly believe that John would probably approve of my use of the song in this message. I've demonetized the video because it's not about money, it's about belief. Let's just say we both live in a world much different than we dream of.
This is The Big Picture, an official television report to the nation from the United States Army. Now, to show you part of the big picture, here is Sergeant Stuart Queen.
A thin sliver of water which separates the great land masses of the Western Hemisphere is one of America's most important outposts, the Panama Canal. Foreign trade and responsibilities in the Pacific and the Caribbean make it imperative to preserve the security of the canal. That is the primary mission of our armed forces in the canal zone. It's being carried out with unrelenting vigilance by our soldiers in Panama.
Do we dare? Shit. It's literally just like a tunnel back into the cave. Definitely a scene out of a Harrison Ford movie or something.
Mm-hmm.
So we are finally back on track with Alcino and Valentina on board. And today it's time to bring Sophisticated Lady back to the Shelter Bay Marina in the Panama Canal. We're going to be here for a week or so doing final prep to get her ready for our great circle route through Central America. This will include the Colombian islands of San Andres and Providencia, before we sail up around the coast of Nicaragua to Roatan and the Little Bay Islands of Honduras. From there, we'll be doing Belize, Guatemala, the Rio Dulce, Mexico, Cuba, Cayman Islands, and back down to Colombia before returning to Panama.
I feel particularly at ease up here. I really like it. I wish I had done this before.
Gotta try it at sea sometimes when the boat's swinging around.
I went all the way there,
for the phone.
folded it, and then we've been zipping.
Yeah, I know. I've done it 100 times.
I know. Okay, that's right.
Now the fun part.
Then what? I zip myself inside.
Ever feel backed into a corner?
Then I stay here. Spend a fun night.
First timers, you gotta love it. But, as they say, no rest for the wicked. So while Alcino and Valentina started working on the boat, I had to get back to work. While we're here, I've got a job to make a commercial for the marina, so I gotta go out on property and start collecting some shots. And as you'll soon find out, there's a lot of interesting stuff about this area. And of course, we needed to get that token, but classy, bikini shot poolside. I mean, what could it be without that? So for that, I had to distract Valentina from boat projects long enough to get the shot. So I guess you could say sometimes there are perks to being a film crew. So this morning, Valentina and I got up early just to come on a little nature walk. Heard there was some good trails in behind the marina. So we'd come out and have a look around. Said if we get to a quiet spot and just sit and remain quiet for a while, probably see some of the wildlife come out. But right now they're all probably watching us, know we're here. So staying hidden. But supposed to be a lot of monkeys and such around here, so just gonna see what we can find now.
What the heck is that? Built like an Aztec hideaway. Oh, nice graffiti. Guessing this is something to do with the military. Battery mower. What exactly does that mean? Oh. Inside the side of the hill.
Shoes left behind.
Sandbags. Whoa. I'm going up there without a light. Crazy. What is this? Have to come back with Alcina with our big light.
That was a cool find back there. I never expected to find some kind of an old military bunker abandoned, buried in the side of the hill. Interesting. But a little bit too deep to go in without a big flashlight, so might go back with Alcino later and we'll bring a big light with us and have a look through and see where those tunnels go. Yeah, some fascinating stuff back here. Makes for an interesting walk in the morning already.
Oh, what are we looking at here? That looks big. Who builds this shit back in this jungle?
The butterfly.
Oh! Where is he? He landed. Almost. What is this?
This reminds me of the Angkor Wat complex in Cambodia.
Oof.
You know the big temples in the jungle? They've been excavated. Wow, it looks exactly like that. But they're just military barracks.
Look at this. What would it
Wow.
take to build this far back in the jungle?
I know.
Holy crap.
The funny thing is, we really didn't have any idea the scope of what it was that was buried back here in the jungle
It's
yet.
like a complex built into the side of the hills.
This was Valentina's and my first trek into the jungle, and the further back we went, the more we realized that these two big buildings are basically just the forefront for what appears to be a massive underground complex.
Whoa. Wow.
We're still walking on the roof of the building, but we're walking on jungle soil at the same time.
It's built entirely into the side of the hull, or the side of the hill.
There might be a way to the ocean.
And nobody would ever spot them from the air, that's for sure.
We kept finding holes in the ground that appeared to be tunnels or air vents or escape hatches or something, along with massive platforms that are just covered by jungle. It would make sense, being that if they ever fell under attack here, they could simply seal up one of the batteries and disappear underground, and likely just in a few minutes' time emerging from a completely different part of the jungle.
It goes way back there, look. Yeah, see, it's all blocked off. They've sealed all the doors. All the underground stuff they've sealed up. What'd you find? Oh, what is that? Just an air vent? That means there's something much bigger under here, because that's an air vent or tunnel or something.
Everybody all goes under us.
Yeah. I wonder if anybody's mapped all the structures under these hills. More cement. You're standing on another platform. We have no idea all this stuff that we're walking around on top of.
Mall City.
The jungle has secrets.
So what we have learned since is that this entire complex was designed and built by the US Army back in the early 1900s, just after the completion of the Panama Canal.
I was going to say, be careful, it looks like those were used to cover a trap.
Of course, the canal became one of the most strategic locations to protect once World War I broke out.
Concrete. Don't step back.
So the US Army moved in with massive amounts of gear and supplies and started building a myriad of forts buried in the jungle from which they could protect both entrances to the canal. What we're standing on is just the tip of the iceberg, so stick around till later in the video, because what we found is quite fascinating and we'll get a little deeper into it then.
Oh. Feels like this could get slippery at any time.
Yeah. It's a little bit
Dicey?
different over there, or difficult to do it this
Oh
way.
yeah, it goes straight to the water. Easy. No rescue teams out here. Oh shit. That's a cliff right there. This tree's next to go. Oh, that's the end of that trail. What was that? Sounded like a shot.
We didn't do anything. Guy's always busy carrying something. See, they really make a route.
Now, purely ironically speaking, this is probably what the humans looked like back in the early 1900s when they were building all these forts back in the jungle.
I see creatures
Where?
just there. Check them out. One is wearing pink, the other one is wearing white.
What are you looking at? People?
They're hiding. We're here. I can see them now. I think they're friendly. Oh, we know
okay.
them.
Oh, that's the wild animals we came to see.
Good morning.
Hey, I knew if we waited long enough we'd find some wild animals out here.
I hope we're not intruding.
Hello. I'm just exploring.
No, I mean, you're filming too.
How are you?
Pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah, I understand there's some toucans in here, but I haven't seen them yet.
Didn't come back here expecting to find these places built right into the side of the hills.
Just, you can imagine what this is like in 1940, 41. It would have been stripped.
Hmm.
And all the artillery facing that way. And I don't know, I can't verify this, but someone was telling me the shells could go 30 miles.
What? Wow.
30 miles.
You know what it'd take to build this place back this far in the jungle?
Labor was not expensive and money was cheap.
Yeah, I guess so.
Duty in Panama, one of the Western Hemisphere's most critical defense areas. Part of a force which guards the shortest land bridge in the Americas between the two great oceans. I'm part of the detachment at Fort Kobe. It's one of the Army posts that protects that narrow channel which connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Our outfit goes through its paces in close order drill at a spot right close to an airstrip.
Hence the airstrip right next to the marina on the grounds of old Fort Sherman. And even though this area has been abandoned and defunct for many, many years, the Panamanian Army has started to take in and train their own troops in all the places that the U.S. Army used to occupy, but abandoned in 1999 when they officially turned over the guard of the Panama Canal to Panama. These buildings actually look really good from the outside, but upon closer inspection, you can see they're gonna need some work. Another 20 to 30 minute hike back into the jungle took us to the biggest, baddest bunker we had found yet. You could definitely tell this is where they kept the big stuff.
Whoa, this one is massive. All under the jungle. Gotta watch where you walk. Yeah, that's what it looks like. I mean, I've seen these things in the Caribbean where they have these hooks on the wall and they use for aligning the cannons. But then you see these metal rings here. This must have been the center base for the guns. That'd have been some big guns.
That would be an understatement. This base was home to some of the biggest artillery in the U.S. military. They had a collection of artillery ranging anywhere from 10-inch to 16-inch that reportedly from right here they could take out a battleship with near pinpoint accuracy at a range of 14 miles. Make no wonder that through 2 world wars, the bulk of their strength here remained untested and the canal never fell into enemy hands. Fort Sherman proved near invincible, but it did have one vulnerability in that the Panama Canal had a back door, the Chagres River. Long before the Panama Canal ever existed, the only waterway access to even get close to Old Panama City on the Pacific side was via the Chagres River. Dating back to the 16th century, it was the Spanish that were predominantly using the river for their trade operations and subsequently decided that it needed to be protected. Enter Fort San Lorenzo. Built in 1597 at the mouth of the Chagres River, it has survived over 4 centuries of attack from French, Spanish, English, and pirates alike, having fallen completely only once in 1671 at the hands of our old buddy, you guessed it, Captain Morgan. In 1908, it was declared a Panama National Monument, but in 1911, when World War I broke out as the U.S. military was developing Fort Sherman, they looked at this site and said, hey, we need this. So they took over the fort and installed their own artillery that once again made the fort invincible. At the end of the Second World War, all forts were taken off active duty and retired. It wasn't until the 60s when the US started getting messed up in some battles overseas that they were not prepared for. So the military reactivated Fort Sherman and turned it into their new Jungle Operations Training Center. A big shout out and many thanks to one of our viewers, Sergeant First Class James Ferriello, retired USA. It was James that sent me all of these photos of his regiment's time served at the Fort Sherman Jungle Operations Training Center. So Sergeant James, thank you, sir. We appreciate your efforts and your sense of humor. So here at the training center, the troops would be introduced one-on-one to every single animal they could possibly meet in the jungle of the worlds that they would be meeting battle. At the end of practical training, they would literally be thrown into a very large cage section of the jungle with all of above and told to survive for a minimum test of 3 days. If they came out the other side, they would get one of these badges and a certificate, and if they were lucky or unlucky, depending on how you look at it, they were given a machine gun and sent to fight the most dangerous wild animal of all, other humans with machine guns.
Sounds a bit like something out of a horror movie, no?
Imagine there's no heaven. She's if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion imagine all